Hi boys and girls, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Sue Levin. You may recognize me from my picture on the back of Susie Shoesie's Some Dreams Really Do Come True. I'm the author of that fun and adorable book, and today I'm going to teach you how to make Granny's Gooey, Chewy Dark Chocolate Fudge Cake, which, as you know, is featured not only on the cover of the book, but throughout the book. It's one of the great mysteries of what really happened to Susie on her adventure. So with that said, to get started, first of all, you need to download the recipe. And all you have to do is go to the website, click on the Granny's Gooey Chewy Dark Chocolate Fudge Cake and print it out and bring it to this little baking party that we're having. If for some reason you don't own the book, because the recipe is at the back of the book, or can't do that on your computer, let's just take a minute to go over what the ingredients are. I have them listed right here on this board. So as you can see, at least I hope you can see, the first thing that you will need is 1 stick of unsalted margarine. Hopefully you'll get margarine that has no trans fats. 1 cup of white sugar, 4 eggs, which we're going to lightly beat before we mix them into the batter, 1 16-ounce can of Hershey's chocolate syrup, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 cup of flour. Got that? Okay, so first things first. As you can see, we've got our 1 cup of flour plus some extra because we're going to do what's called dusting the cake pan before we put the batter in, and I'll be showing you that in a second. Here are our 4 eggs, our 1 cup of sugar, our 1 teaspoon of baking powder, vanilla to be added, and the most wonderful can of Hershey's chocolate syrup. Now, before we get going, you need to wash your hands. I've already done that. My hands are completely clean because we don't want to make anybody sick, and especially because we're working with eggs, which the shells as well as the egg itself can carry bacteria. So you really want to keep your hands as clean as possible. So with that said, as I said before, one other thing. Preheat your oven. That means turn the oven on, and we're going to be baking this cake at 325 degrees. Now, your mom or dad may tell you, or your granny may tell you, that most cakes cook at 350 degrees, but because we want this cake to be very gooey and chewy, and we don't want it to get dried out, we're actually going to cook it in a lower temperature and for a little bit longer period of time than we would a regular cake. So with that in mind, and now you've got clean hands, we're going to, as I said, dust the cake pan. So take some paper towels, wrap it around your hand, go into some trans fat-free margarine, and watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to wipe the whole inside of the pan with the margarine all around the edge. And by the way, notice it's a tube pan, which means our cake is actually going to have a hole in the middle of it. I'm sure you've had cakes that look like that before. So I'm taking this margarine and I'm wiping the entire inside of the pan with the margarine. And notice I'm also spreading the margarine all over what will create the hole in the middle of the cake, because we don't want the cake to stick to this pan. We want it to just pop right out. So first things first, margarine in the bottom of the pan, and then remember I said there was more than a cup of flour in this bowl, and even though we only needed a cup of flour for the cake, we're going to take a couple of tablespoons of flour, turn them into this pan, and then we're going to swirl that flour all around the inside of the pan, just like this. And that margarine that we put in to begin with, I'm going to actually take some of this flour and sprinkle it around the stem in the middle. That's going to help make our hole. So I'm coating the pan with this flour. You can dump the rest out in your sink, tap it to get the rest out. And now we have a cake pan ready, willing, and able to take our batter and make us a delicious cake. So with that said, dusting off my hands, my trusty mixer, I'm going to start with that 1 stick, and as the recipe says, of softened butter. So I'm putting that into my bowl. I'm adding the 1 cup of sugar, and then gently, I'm turning my mixer on to do what we call creaming the butter and sugar. And what that means is mixing them together to make kind of like a gooey paste. And I'm going to show you in just a second. Once it gets going, you can turn your mixer up kind of high to make sure it all gets beaten in together. And I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to use my spatula, take whatever is on the beater off the beater, just so I can pick this up and show you the consistency. It's kind of creamed together. It almost looks like it could be ice cream, but of course it's not. So there we go. I'm going to put this back in here and attach my bowl to my mixer, put it back down, and I'm just going to use this to rest my spatula on so that I don't make a complete mess. You don't want to do that in your mom's kitchen.